The Viper V770 versus the K70 RGB. Where does the money go? I'm Rio Gion and welcome to Rio Gion Keyboards. Both keyboards support dedicated media controls, but the Viper has functions bound to the F keys for more added features. The Viper also have a dedicated bank of macro keys for those that play MMO or edit lots of videos. The Viper is a plus size, feature-filled keyboard, while the K70 is more towards the compact side of things with sprinkles of extra features added on. The font of the Viper looks more professional, but this means that the light won't shine out as brightly as the K70. Both keyboards have the floating key design, which is nice when it comes to cleaning them, and I really dig the look. The K70 overall look is more office friendly, while the Viper is leaning towards more gamer look with the logo on the right and the cable design. The Viper has standard layout, which makes it easier to find keycaps replacement for than the K70 ISO layout, but the market is adjusting to the ISO layout and I'm starting to see more and more keycaps replacement for that particular layout. The one gripe about the Viper, at least for me, is that the previous version, the V760, didn't work when I first bought it, while the K70 works right out of the box. So reliability, I'm leaning towards the K70, but just because I have a bad experience with the Viper doesn't mean that you will. If you're looking for a more feature-filled keyboard, then the Viper is the one to go with. But if you want more desk space and you need that number pad, the K70 should be on your shortlist. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for the latest content. The K70 uses Cherry MX brown switches, which is a tactile, non-clicky, and it's a proven switch that will last a full 50 million keystrokes and then some. On the other hand, the Viper uses Kailh red switches, which are linear, non-clicky switch that is a clone of the Cherry MX reds, so it might not last a full 50 million strokes. Then again, this company has been in the market for quite some time, and if they tend to make really bad switches, then I really do not think they would be in business for this long. Both switches have a clear housing, however the lights on the K70 is placed below the switch, while the lights on the Viper is placed on top of the switch with a plastic coating. I don't see any performance differences, but there might be some reliability difference because I think the lights placed on top of the switch, then you're hitting the lights every single time you press the key. Now I could be wrong, but this is why Viper decided to put the plastic coating on the lights. Be mindful that there isn't proof that one way is more reliable than the other, it's only speculations on my end. The Viper uses Corsair stabilizers, which are a pain if you tend to take out the longer keycaps to clean your keyboard. But it does feel sharper than the Cherry MX stabilizers, so if this is something you can deal with, then the Viper is a solid choice. The K70 uses Cherry MX stabilizers, which I prefer over the Corsair because it makes cleaning the keyboard that much easier, and when I want to replace the keycaps, I don't have to deal with those little plastic pieces that are on the longer keycaps. At the end of the day, the stabilizer isn't a deal breaker, but it's a minor detail that I know some of you will really care about when it comes to making your purchasing decision. Both keyboards uses the typical thin ABS keycaps that's found in most mainstream gaming keyboards, and I'm split between the two because I really like the Viper's font, but I hate how it caused me to have faster finger fatigue. On the other hand, I don't like the font on the K70 as much, but the keycaps feels extremely smooth and I very much enjoy typing on these keycaps. For the keycaps, it's a series of give and take because one will have something that the other one lacks. The good thing about the keycaps is that they're replaceable with the aftermarket, so you don't like the keycaps on a keyboard, then you can just find different ones to replace. The only problem is it's gonna cost you money. The wrist rest game is strong with the Viper because it's magnetic and it's RGB. There's no competition between the Viper and the K70. The Viper will flat out wins. The K70's wrist rest has plastic hooks that can be broken pretty easily, and it's hard plastic. The Viper's wrist rest is also hard plastic, but it makes up for it with RGB lighting and it's magnetic. I think most of you will agree that the wrist rest on the Viper is much better. But of course, there's also the ones that really do like the wrist rest from a K70 or just a K70 fanboy. If that's the case, there's no way to convince you to go for the other one. I do believe the wrist rest is a factor when it comes to your purchasing decision, but since both wrist rests are detachable, you can just replace the wrist rest with a different one. The Viper has an interesting back design, but let's be honest, it's not like you're gonna stare at the back when you're using your keyboard. The one unique thing about the K70 is that you can lift the entire keyboard up because it has 4 feet. Granted, the other feet don't have rubber, so you might experience some keyboard slipping. Both keyboards have USB pass-through, which is awesome because I use the USB pass-through a lot. The Viper also has audio pass-through, but the K70 does not, so if you need audio pass-through, then the Viper is the one to go with. Both cables are braided, but the Viper have cable management Velcro and gold-plated USB tips, which is nice, and I cannot say the same for the K70. The The K70 knock it out of the park with their software because it's user friendly with constant updates. It gives you more options than the Viper, and it has a strong community behind it. The one thing I really like about the big name gaming keyboards is that you get to download custom lighting profiles from other people. I want other mid-tier and smaller companies to have this as well, but it's just due to the community that's behind the software. The community for the K70 is very strong, and you can expect to have lots of custom lighting profiles to choose from. The Viper software is no slouch, but it doesn't compare to the K70 because there isn't as many updates, and you can't import other people's lighting profiles because it's not there yet. There is something in the future that can be fixed though, because if the Viper V770 can rise in popularity, the developers will put in more time and energy into making the software better. Of course, the only way they can tell is that the keyboards is a hit from those sales numbers. Without a doubt, the K70 is more fun to type because I like the Cherry MX brown switches more. It's not like the Kailh switches are objectively bad, it's just not my preferences to type on a linear switch. I'm sure that if you like linear switches, then there's a good chance you're gonna like the Kailh switches from Viper. I like the brown switches more because I like the tactile bump with every single keystroke. Both keyboards are fun to type and both keyboards are very smooth to type. But I find myself making a lot more mistakes with the Viper than with the K70. Of course, this is not an apples to apples comparison because it's a red switch versus a brown switch. If it is with the Cherry MX red switch and the Kailh red switch, it's going to be a tie because honestly I can't tell the difference between the Kailh red and the Cherry MX red switches. I will admit that the Viper is fun to type, but I get faster finger fatigue with the Viper because it has something to do with the keycaps. Besides that, I wouldn't say I'm coming out with excuses to type on the Viper. However, I'm constantly coming out with excuses to type on the K70. If you play MMOs or edit lots of videos, then the Viper is the one to go with because you will really appreciate the extra bank of macro keys. If you mainly play FPS, then the Viper would also work because of the red switches, but it's not like you can't get red switches on the K70. Better yet, you can get the speed switches on the K70, which is a superior version according to some. Personally, I cannot say the speed is superior than red because I haven't had the chance to compare the two side by side. If you're an RTS gamer, then you could also benefit from the Viper's red switches because it's the same situation for the FPS player. If you're a typist, then you're better off with the K70 because the brown switches is a better typer than the red switches, at least in my humble opinion. Prices are always subject to change, but you can expect to find the Viper in the low 110s and high 120s, and the K70 in the high 120s to the high 150s. The K70 is generally priced higher than the Viper, so expect to pay a little more for it. I'll provide links to the keyboards in the description box below that like button. At the end of the day, this is a comparison, so I'm going to be picking a winner. My winner is the K70 because I like to switch a lot more and I don't really find a need for a bank of macro keys. I really like the software from the K70, but I do think the option of a software from the Viper is very appealing. The thing that sold me on the K70 is the layering of lighting effects, the Cherry MX brown switches, because they're just so smooth and addicting to type on. Comment down below and tell me of the two keyboards, which one would you buy? If you made it this far and you haven't subscribed yet, then hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to become part of the mighty notification squad. As always, have an awesome day.